Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our session as part of the 26th ProdExpo conference here at the Athens Conservatoire. My name is George Paidakakis. I'm a partner and I'm leading the energy practice group at KBVL law firm, which is the member of Deloitte legal network. I'm honored to moderate today's panel, which brings together distinguished experts from architecture, industry and policy to discuss the impact of ESG criteria on our sector. The panel is entitled Building with Purpose, the Role of ESG in Green Infrastructure, Innovation and Building Materials. Allow me to kindly introduce you to the panelists before we start what we think is going to be a lively discussion. On my left is Dimitris Kollias. He's a senior professional with extensive experience in innovative green transition projects. We've had the opportunity to work together also in the Greco island in a certain case not far ago. On his left, he's also a green transition strategist and an advisory to the ministry, I forgot to mention, which is to the Ministry of Environment and Energy. On his left is Mrs. Paola Cattarin. She's a director at Zaha Hadid Architects. For those of you who may not be aware, Zaha Hadid is a world-renowned architectural studio, very well known for iconic, innovative, and sustainable projects in over 34 countries. And Paola has expertise that spans architecture, urban design, and resource management, with a strong focus on integrating sustainability and community needs. And then, last but certainly not least, Mr. Gregory Nikitas. He's marketing manager at Titan Cement. Most of you know very well Titan Cement is a leading international cement and building materials producer with strong presence here and worldwide. And Mr. Nikitas is a mechanical engineer with over 25 years of experience. Indeed. Both in the USA and in Greece. And he's actively involved in promoting environmental product declaration lifecycle assessment tools, which is what we will be focusing on during these 30 minutes that we have been allocated. So if I were to frame the discussion, we will try to revolve around the two main axes: how ESG criteria add value to projects. We'll try to be practical and you know, from the architectural perspective, how ESG shape design, then building materials perspective, how to drive a differentiation in value, and then we'll come back to Mr. Kollias for the policy perspective and how recent policy initiatives and the other instruments that you may delve on support the ESG. And then the second axe will be how to collaborate, all the stakeholders, to make sure that we scale up for future value creation. Yes, so without further ado, I would like to start with you, Paola, and maybe you can give us examples from architecture, case studies, and your international practice and best practices around this first axe, first platform that we want to delve into, how ESG can, you know, add value to the projects in practice.
Right. Thank you, George, and thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time in Athens on a professional capacity, and it's really obviously a very interesting and update topic. At Zaha Hadid Architects, I mean, you know, for us, what is important whenever we approach a project is to look at sustainability not as an add-on that you add later on in the project. So it's something that really needs to start since the very beginning in, you know, understanding. We work globally, so in understanding the location, the limitation, the constraints, the budget, I mean, all the aspects that are related to the physical environment. Over the years, also because UK, I think, is pushing on this agenda a lot, the Royal Institute of British Architects is setting the bar very, very high when it comes to sustainability and progressing and pushing architects to achieve always, you know, higher target of sustainability. But over the years, I mean, we always invested in a lot of resources to make sure that our buildings are conceived as sustainable. And this is a mix of low technology and high technology aspects that needs to go into the process. And how does it add values to the project? I mean, I can give you a lot of examples in which we achieve that. For instance, I mean, we work globally, so we work in very harsh conditions, climatic conditions. For instance, a while ago, we completed project in Riyadh that is called CAPSARC. It's a research center for a petroleum company. And they're really announcing and researching how to make the petroleum sustainable in a way for the soil and so on. And they wanted, this research center. How we approach this? I mean, the project is in Riyadh, so the iconicity that we achieved on the project is given by this idea of building a number of different cells based on an hexagonal principle. I mean, architects always talk about geometry and physical aspects. And the aggregation of these prismatic hexagonal cells are designed in a way that, the south side of the buildings is always kind of shelved, so to avoid any solar gaining and excessive solar exposure, to maximize the wind passing through these cells, to use the natural ventilation. Everything is organized around the central courtyard that, facilitate interaction, but is also a very, very pleasant place to stay despite the climatic conditions. And this building achieved a LEED Platinum through a number of design decisions, of course, which goes down to, obviously, what I said, the orientation, the use of the ventilation, the thermal mass of the building itself that doesn't really gain too much heat during the day, even in this extreme climate, and but also produce clean energy on itself. So there are PV panels, solar panels integrated with the design. What I want to say is that it's not an added layer. It's something that is integrated into the shape of the building itself, and still keeps, its iconicity is beautiful. I mean, we work with beauty, but the added value for sure is, first of all, one is very measurable. There is less energy consumption. Actually, the building achieved a 45% reduction of energy consumption compared to a best practice in the region, compared to the local code in the region. So it's already somehow an achievement and an added value. But then also there is, maybe not in this case, but for other, because in this case is the client is also the owner and who is going to run this building for years to come. But also there is a sort of, in commercial building, there are added value when it comes to, the commanding higher rental prices or sale prices. There are added value when it comes to resilience and risk management, because, for instance, every building needs energy to run. I mean, we can, we're aiming to achieve zero emission buildings, right? They are fully self-sustainable. But still, with the market, we don't know how the energy is going to cost. So it's a risk management that has a value in the insurance world and so on. And obviously there is a social aspect that matters, because how you source the material that are needed to build that specific building, where they're coming from, what type of materials you're using, and how you're using them. This has an incredible impact on the cost of the building and on the saving you can achieve on the building, on the construction cost. So not necessarily, what we do is, we really work with beauty. We want to achieve beautiful buildings, but, at the same time, there is no contradiction when it comes to sustainable building and to also cost-effective buildings. Well, I can give you a number of other examples. I mean, different design solutions that we proposed. Another building that is, again, another LEED Platinum building is the headquarters we built for a company that is dealing with waste management in Sharjah in the Emirates, and it's called BEHA headquarters. And this building, again, is design-wise, you might have seen some images, or maybe you will recognize it in the presentation that is showing at the back. It is conceived as two dunes, and because it's in the middle of the desert, very simple ideas if you want. But the shell of this dune and the building, one is a public building, the other one is the actual office buildings. It's all organized in a way that maximizes the intake of natural light without exposing glazed facade to the sun, which again in the Emirates is obviously too harsh. And again, through a number of other systems, the water collection and the production of clean energy is a net zero building, which again, I mean, on its own, it's has an incredible market value. So I can go on and on because, we have been really working on a number of projects in a different environment also. Because, for instance, we are designing is currently, and is not completed, is under design at the moment, a stadium that in the UK, and is completely built with timber. Now, there's no one solution, right? You really need timber can be effective in one country and completely unsustainable in another. So like every material is as such. And so you really need to do a lot of research at the beginning of each project, understanding the social and economical context, and embed these into your design process.
No, exactly, yes. No, I understand that, to me, being a kind of an outsider to this architectural world and the design, I like the idea of being, the ESG criteria. To me, it's just a compliance obligation. I don't want to think of it like that, but me being a lawyer, I understand this part of it. It is very interesting for you to share with us that this is also embedded in the process from the design to the final product, regardless of whether this is a private or a public building, whether this is located in Asia, in Europe, or elsewhere, and that this is easy to sell, going now from to maybe to the material part, how to sell this not as something add-on to the price, but as a part of building constructions that are here to last with current technology and so on to maximize the benefits. So maybe now turning to you, Gregory. I understand that you know this subject very well. You've worked a lot in innovations in materials. What do you think? This is something that we should look at it from the angle that this is an add-on to the price and maybe be reluctant until it gets obligatory, or this is a completely wrong attitude and maybe developers should think differently already now.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for the invitation. It was kind of funny that you gave me a strange look because you know that I'm coming from the cement and ready-mix industry, and you were mentioning timber. But let's get past that. It was funny, actually. I'll put it like that. This morning in this room, we heard about real estate firms mentioning premiums over 16% above the normal rental rates for facilities investments here in Athens, Greece. Why? Because they're certified with LEED Platinum, and other green certification schemes that really promote the implementation of solid ESG criteria. The question, I guess, is becoming this one, and it's really critical. Are these mandatory? Of course they're not. Who started this trend and why so many years ago? It was visionaries, it was leaders in the real estate business and in the building materials industry that they saw that the only way that they could differentiate and add incremental value to their assets and maximize their returns on investments, it was those that they would certify buildings with ESG performance. From our side, from the building materials industry, and more specifically from Titan Cement and Interbeton, the view is exactly the same. We very, very closely monitor what the stakeholders of our ecosystems do. The architects, for example, they set the ambition bar way too high for us, and I remember that Royal Institute British Architects set the standards for developing and constructing a building very, very high, like 15 years ago. We were speechless when we saw your aspiration there. And so we said, okay, what are we going to do about all this? Do we want to be laggards and expect regulation and legal requirements to moderate our behavior, or should we become more innovative and think forward? And that's what we prefer to do. I'll give you a very simple example. Today, everybody is fighting against operational carbon. Certification of buildings is getting high accreditation because they're fighting operational carbon, and it's a very good system as well because they give the return to the investors and to the tenants immediately due to low power consumption. However, who would think that only 5 years from today, what we do not see, and it is the big elephant in the room, the embodied carbon from the building materials will become priority number one. Who would think that as of 2026, LEED Platinum will be granted only to projects that achieve at least 20% reduction of embodied carbon? All these things are going to happen in such a cataclysmic way, and of course, we from our industry, we're trying to be ready by offering the market, our customers, the architects, the designers, the civil engineers, solutions that take into consideration sustainability, resiliency of buildings, circular economy, and every else that goes and accompanies the better and more successful urban design, like, for example, cities that breathe and develop and become more resilient to climate change. So it's an issue of differentiation and vision. And we cannot afford not to be leaders in a climate change that is moving at such a fast pace.
Yeah, thank you. Also, from a consumer perspective, let's say, I think that we are more prone to new materials that help us build cities, that we have better social aspects, let's say, compared to a few years ago, especially in Greece, at least I don't know in other countries. And also policy is a driver. Yeah, we don't want to put it in the side. On the contrary, I was also involved in the Green Deal, let's say, market paradigm when Ursula von der Leyen started it. So this has an impact, and I'm curious to find out what are the instruments, the acceleration tools that in Greece now can help us go one step faster towards what we have said before. Dimitri?
George, thank you very much. I would also like to thank for the invitation and the privilege to be here today to this a great panel with great co-panelists. And after listening to Paola and looking at these wonderful pictures that you have shown us from your projects, I think I'm trying to be not very, very boring talking about policy, but I'll try to do my best. ESG is more than a reporting framework. It's really a tool for creating real value in infrastructure projects. By integrating environmental, social, and governance criteria, we can ensure that the projects will not only meet technical requirements, but also reduce long-term risks, improve public acceptance, and optimize life cycle costs, as you have heard already. At the Ministry, we have seen initiatives, and we have published a report with initiatives that fast-track ESG-aligned projects or provide incentives for sustainable material and circular construction practices. This kind of policy, we believe that it supports, accelerates innovation, and shows measurable impact, and ultimately enhances the social, environmental, and economic value of the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. And also, because you have talked about the incentives that we could have, it could be like financial and regulatory incentives, such as implementing tax benefit, fast-track permitting, or subsidies for projects that demonstrate high ESG performance. Promote collaborative design and planning, promote community and stakeholder engagement so that everyone will be on board, and monitor and accountability using all kinds of digital tools, among with all the other things that we can promote.
Yes, well, what I had in mind was, the roadmap that the ministry has published in July about with the target, aspiring to bring the private sector into this renovation renaissance, and maybe we can have 2 minutes at the end to discuss about that. But then moving also in the interest of time to the second part of the discussion, how can these stakeholders all together now possibly combine powers to scale up this value for the future? How architects and industry maybe can collaborate to create innovative, sustainable, and affordable solutions. That was, maybe something to discuss. Any ideas, Paola?
Can I
or
start?
Yeah. Yes.
So, innovation is the driver, right? Yes. We need to think and rethink and constantly rethink how we approach, the use of materials. But for every project, of course, it's not only the selection of the right material, is also how you use it. Let me explain better. I want to give an example about cement this time. And for instance, in a project, it's a sort of a project we built in Venice for the Venice Biennale in 2021 is a bridge. It's a little bridge that, we thought it was appropriate for Venice as a topic. But this bridge is a 3D printed concrete bridge. And how we did it, obviously 3D printing is available almost in many, many different countries. But what we did was to use low emission cement, to use concrete 3D printed without any steel reinforcement. So the design is based on a very, very traditional, masonry art construction methods, but is revised through a digital fabrication process. So every single piece is 3D printed and is not connected with mortar. It's actually because of its shape, is standing and is solid. And this is not only using a low carbon emission concrete, but it's actually, you can reuse these pieces once, the building or the concrete is no longer needed. You can reuse it and recycle it. Actually comes from a recycled source, of course. And so, the material itself can have a different life. What I'm trying to say is that through the use of innovative technology, digital fabrication, you can really optimize the use of material. Because, for instance, in this little bridge, the material used is really designed to use the minimum material needed for the element to stand. So there are many, many different ways in which creative thinking and innovative fabrication and innovative, way of constructing buildings can really deliver a new standard, I would say. It's a target that is always evolving. There's no point of arrival. There is there is always something better that you can put in place. And I had to say that the industry has been always very receptive. Construction industry at the beginning. From what I can see is the duration of my career. I've been working at Zaha for the last 26 years, and our shapes, our complex geometrical shapes, were kind of challenging really 20 years ago. But the industry and the architect have been pushing a lot in the direction of innovating the sectors, and now there are things, optimization of material, rationalization process that really makes possible to achieve outstanding result.
Do you agree, Greg, that architects are driving the way and you deliver?
Absolutely, I'll tell you. I mean, it's a fascinating moment that we're into a real estate, the biggest and most prestigious real estate conference in Greece, and the real estate segment is the one that is really the trendsetter. The way they built more sustainably, they built more green, they built in new dimensions, and of course they have the best architects to collaborate with, and their vision is to create cities that we will be all aspiring to live into. So what is better than saying that this is the perfect setup for an ongoing dialogue? Because the evolution between the customer's needs, the real estate segment, and the demands and the desires of the architectural sector are really putting something into motion that brings new value and new vision into the way we're going to be building in the future. I'll say that in most of the projects all these years that we've heard, when we got into sustainability elements, it would be typically the owner, the city, people like this, and we would never have the structural engineer being present. How many would you know today that we can minimize by 30% the material that we use in constructing and building without increasing the budget? Is this sustainable? I'd say it's very sustainable, and it's amazing in terms of resilience and durability. So the sector itself, the building materials industry, is looking for dialogue, and perhaps I'll make the pass to you, maybe some fast ways that we can recuperate all this effort.
Please, I mean...
I'll take the pass.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have given it anyway.
Anyway, okay.
To you.
So what policy making has to do is to create the framework, the correct framework in order for ESG. It will be not just ticking boxes, but it will be going to be a whole idea to be promoted for the good of all of us, of the people, of the environment, and of course of the companies, because the good of the companies and the profit of the companies returns to the people. So what we can include in our framework is financial incentives, not only subsidizing things, but promoting, like you have said already, George, about the framework that we have published during
Yes, the roadmap.
in the summer,
Yes.
the roadmap.
A very interesting paper, I have to say.
It was about promoting energy projects, energy renovation projects, and energy efficiency projects with energy services, energy saving contracts through energy companies and aggregated projects, not going to projects one by one, aggregating projects in order to have an economy scale and scale for all the other things. So we're promoting also green financing and investment support with green bonds, with grant programs and subsidies sometimes, and co-financing. The way to implement things and finding money to implement projects is to find smart ways, smart green ways for financing these projects. So we're using EU grants, state money, and also green bonds, green funds, and private money from ESCO companies that are financing the project. And also, we have other incentives that we can promote, tax and fiscal incentives, tax credits, accelerated depreciation, reduced permit fees, and also instruments for risk mitigation. This is, I think, a framework that we are promoting slightly right now, but we think that we can make it even bigger, so to promote bigger projects that are going to be ESG certified.
Yes, I mean, again, looking at the incentives, each case is different, but from that roadmap, what was pretty astonishing to me was maybe the involvement of ESCO companies or even energy supply companies in this renovation scheme that goes from, giving grants to promoting and facilitating the private sector somehow with loans, all this that you've mentioned, to help us renovate all these residential buildings. It's not only how you build or how you construct the materials, but we have, we listened to that earlier today, a lot of residential buildings that are old and need to be renovated. And with the policy objectives for 2030, this is very important. Maybe one last comment from each one of you on the ESG. Maybe how you. I was particularly curious before coming into this discussion about how the other stakeholders, from the social perspective, is. In big development projects, you may have had the opportunity to participate or lead abroad. How do you maybe ask the civil society or other stakeholders about the plans when you design? I mean, I was involved, I'm still involved in the Hellinikon project, which is aspired to be a smart and sustainable city. And I understand that, this is being built within the broader context of the neighboring of the neighboring cities. Any ideas about that? If not, it's okay. One last comment from each of you. Maybe we can start with you, Paola.
Well, I mean, it's a very big topic, the one that you're bringing up. But, I think the perspective has to be future-proofing. I mean, really, while there is an existing building that is having a new life or is a new building, you really need to think about the long lifespan of a building, not just, the immediate advantage that this brings to them.
Something that we may forget sometimes when we start, yes?
Yeah.
Thank you. Greg?
I'll say that we stay close to the sector, we hear the stakeholders, we stay very, very acute and ready to respond to needs. One thing that we always keep in mind is that we all care about mitigating risk of brown devaluation of assets. We all care about retrofitting buildings more efficiently than constructing new ones. That's why every challenge we have on new material requirements or solutions, we're always there to support them. And I'll say that it's finally a vision that we're all local. We all live in the cities that we are in. Our facilities, our manufacturing places, the construction sites, they're all within the canvas of the city that we're in. We want a better future, and we're ready to provide solutions. That's how I feel about it.
For sure. We've experienced a lot of innovation in the industry, and maybe one last word from you. Dimitri?
Just one point. The title of the panel is Building with Purpose. So I think it is about building with multiple purposes. It's not about building with bricks and all the materials. It means embedding ESG in every direction. So ESG is not just a compliance. It's our roadmap, and we can try to create the proper framework to a sustainable, future-ready built environment.
Thank you to all. We ran out of time. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.